and welcome to Anything Relevant. I have a little brain spill here. I was talking about how, with a friend, all this information, all this surveillance, all this social media, and a lot of it is there was consent in giving all this information out. People airing their laundry, if you will. Now, with all this, it's already out there and it's growing. And the complacency or the complacency of people giving out the information or the reaching of businesses getting email addresses and whatnot, it's causing more of a normality of this type of direction that we're taking. And there's alarm to take. People talking about privacy, people talking about conspiratorial things, and I got something else to think about this as a positive out of all this negative that may happen. It's theoretical, but the idea of this video is open information will set us free. Having this open information about who you are, where you are, how you are, all of that being available. There's the dystopian fear. You get into things that you'd probably see in the TV show Black Mirror or things of that nature. Uh, Community did a video on it about social status of voting and being level 1 to level 5. All these things, that we could be afraid of, just like we are with automated, mechanized bodies. Well, they're going to kill humans and take over the world. The machines, we're afraid of that. They make movies out of it to show that type of fear. And I get all that. But there's going to be a byproduct of having all this information out with the baby steps that we're taking. And I say baby steps because I really do think that we are. Like, yeah, we flooded it, but we're still taking steps on what it means. And that's what I mean. And that's a good thing. When you rush something too fast, it could get rough before it gets better. But with taking baby steps, it is what we have right now. There are worse things going on than having your information out there. I know there's a lot of things you can watch in the news that will show real hardship that has nothing to do about email addresses. So the good that I'm kind of dancing around is that it'll take away your shame. The figurative fig leaf will disappear because you'll see that everyone is the same in the regards of their civility, their self-treatment, and not only that, this will also identify extremism. Is extremism bad? It's bad when it hurts other people. It's bad when it's weaponized. But extremism as in, I want to be the best at something, well, that gets us memorable people that leave legacies behind. But having this all out and realizing that you have cheat meal days more than you should, or that you watch something more than you should, and that's all it's going to be is these innocent indulgences that'll be aired, and you'll see that everyone has these. It'll allow a unity to happen that it's already happening, but it's like this. How would you put it? It's happening in the background, and you're getting this. People don't like the word to globalize or globalization because I think about these social elites that are trying to unify everything and govern the world. I'm not into that. I don't. If that's a conspiracy theory, okay. But I'm not into it. My thought is this, though, with having all this information out, is that we're able to relate with people all over the world and then get intrigued by the difference, not scared of it, but intrigued because you're able to relate with something very human. And then the difference in geography will be what intrigues you. They go about it differently, and then we can learn. And this is to me, the good that will happen out of it, whether anything else is happening at the same time. I think this is what I'm talking about is inevitable, but I also think that it's not going to be the authority behind it. Like some countries it'll run amok, some places will do it correctly or insightfully, or they're ahead of the curve. There'll be a variance. There'll be a rainbow variance of all these different countries having information out. You already have it in China. There's a social rating system there. This isn't a conspiracy theory. You can look it up and read it. They have a social rating system. It's an app on their phone. And if you get down to a certain level, you can't travel. You can't buy a house. So it serves you, the individual, to be more civil and cooperative within the guidelines of the government. But that government, in comparison to living here in Canada, is a lot different. We'll leave it at that. But there's worse countries out there that are doing a worse job, and they're using a very similar system. So there's the give and take. There's the ebb and flow. That'll show what I'm talking about with the Information Act of having all this personalized, individualized information, be it through Facebook, with your updates, your tweeting, your Instagramming, you're doing all these different type of output of information, and this will lead to what I think is like the whole glass house civilization, where that type of shame disappears. We'll have new type of shame. And I think that new type of shame will most likely, if this isn't destroyed with an authoritarian governments, which people would believe, well, then we're talking about that dystopic future. Well, that sucks. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that it's used justly and not weaponized against the people or weaponized against a country versus another. I hope that doesn't happen. It might happen, but I hope it's just a simmer than hot conflict, a shooting conflict. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. So when I'm talking about this killing of shame, maybe the new shame will be you didn't open up a door when someone was walking towards the door, and you had every opportunity to do it. So it'll be more of a good behavior type of shame, where you didn't help someone stand up and they're right beside you when they fell down. All you did is look down at them and go back to looking at your phone. Maybe these are the type of things that'll be caught. Like, yeah, I saw them not help out. I saw them be so selfish. I saw them being so self-centric, so self-involved, and that they weren't participating in the world around them. They weren't letting it register. Maybe that'll be the new shame, is in the sense of, and you'll have your social justice warriors pointing out people, but then again, they watch someone stumble while holding something, walking on the road, innocent fall, but they're on a heated conversation on their cell phone that is something that they needed to be engaged in because the right words need to be said, something needs to be expressed, and a gap in helping someone up, and then the other person on the other end is carried away. The world is a complicated place. So that's what I'm kind of getting at, is that we will go into a rough patch with this new type of shame, but maybe that's what the new shame is in the how do you interact in the world. If we have this whole fig leaf evaporate away and we don't have any personal shame in that regard of, yeah, everyone farts, everyone needs to go to the bathroom, everyone needs to sleep, everyone gets the eye gunk in the eyes after sleeping, some worse than others. And that's what I'm getting at, is that if we can just all acknowledge that and get over it, a whole new type of paradigm will take over. And that isn't impossible to talk about, because it's always happened. We do not live like 100 years ago. The importance that we have to that we focus on today are not the moral or ethical importance of then. Even that changes over time. That's what makes philosophy and the interaction of the world around us to be such an ever going discussion. That's why we're still discussing the same things from 3,000 years ago that Greeks were arguing about, is because every generation the conversation shifts because of a paradigm shift. Our kids didn't have it like we did when we were kids, and they're lucky. Do you know that that type of but like that type of tired cliche is thousands of years old? They have old writings and old carvings of empires of yesteryear that old men, old generation are complaining about the youth. That's been going on since forever. The fact that a very slow evolution in technology, when we're talking 3,000 years ago, that even then, from generation to generation, they're talking about, you had it fucking easy. Oh, sorry. You had it easy. Apologize for that. Got carried away. But that you had it, that's always been something that gets passed on. So it's a paradigm shift. That's a generational shift of reality because of one generation before you. And that's all we are as a people, is that the generation right now could not go back in time and just learn from parents and a family member from 100 years ago back then. They were born in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, and they live in a world with what is provided. So every generation provides for the generation younger than them, and puts them in an environment that even they themselves didn't live in. And that is a staircase. And this is why that philosophical argument is still rolled over, because it's a stair 3 has, even though they look identical to stair 47, when you're talking about elevation, they have nothing in common. Elevation from the ground up. One, whereas step 3 is, so many feet off the ground, or step 47, way higher off the ground. And that's all I'm getting at in the paradigm shift, when you're looking around and what is available to you. So every generation lives on the shoulders of the generation before. There's that generational owing or debt that needs to be paid, I guess. And I have no problem taking care of the generation older than us. I have no problem in that idea, because yes, they did. They labored as a people to sustain what we have. Like, what is going to happen if, let's say, overnight civilization falls apart? You can't call the fire department, can't call anyone, phones don't work, satellites are down, everyone's got to figure it out for themselves. Well, that's going to be a catastrophe. It's going to be on a world scale scary. And here's my point, though, on talking about that staircase situation. Some countries are going to fare better. They're going to fall less. They're not high up on that stair. They haven't innovated all the way to that point. Like America, Canada, free falling to the point of having to, each family has to scratch out their own survival, and maybe they can get someone around to come check things out, but the budget's gone, a lot of the structure is gone. Let's say, again, crazy scenario, quote unquote, hypothetical here. But that's what I'm getting at, where other countries where they're not as, they're late to the party, and being late to the party for this scenario is almost a blessing in disguise because there's less distance to fall. And what I'm getting at, when you have this information out, when you change the paradigm, is that it'll create a new focus, a new importance, a new value system. We're still going to have it the way that we have, that we value things and we work for things, and that we try to excel than our neighbors. And because of that, we're still going to have deceptive people and yada, yada, yada. Civilization in that sense will not change, but whether we put a focus on one thing or another will. And that's what I'm getting at. And that's what I'm excited for. So we don't have, like, we use dystopic examples, and that's to scare us back onto the proper line. And there's also the staying away from, and I mean this, like, all the perfect model. The perfect model. No, we're not perfect. To go after the perfect model is ludicrous. We're not perfect. And because of that, we're going to need some middle of the road model. And that's what we use with our entertainment. That's what we use with our storytelling and our cautionary tales, is to keep us on that middle line where no one's happy, but too bad about the extreme demands. Sorry, can't do that. We'll lead down dystopia lane. Nope, can't do that. We'll lead down to who knows where trying to achieve perfect will lead you. Probably a different type of dystopia. Maybe that's the difference. A dystopia versus an apocalyptic, if you get off the line. One side's dystopic, so it slowly decays. The other one's apocalyptic. It just fell apart fast. And that's why you got to stay on that middle line. And that's what I think that's happening with this information being out there, is that everyone's terrified. They'll know things. Well, unless you're not El Chapo, unless you're not Osama bin Laden or some public enemy number one. As long as you're not a public enemy number one, there is the yoke that could be lifted off your shoulders if we do go with this just open information situation, where it's not that you don't own your information, it's just that it doesn't matter if people know. It doesn't, because it's set you free. It's taken the shame away. It's taken I don't even need to worry about this. I don't even need to have an anxiety about this situation, because everyone's under the same spectrum, and it'll encourage maybe cleaner living, healthier living. It'll encourage maybe being kinder to one another. Maybe it'll encourage, when we see conflict overseas, that we don't go over there with drones and guns and fight their fight, that we go in and we talk. Look, diplomacy does work. The West has a little bit of a propaganda extreme that might is right. You can still talk, and even with the last 3-4 years with the current leaders, people think, well, what's going on with talking? The one thing that no credit is being given is the fact that talking is occurring. Whether it leads anywhere, that's the point of talking. It's got to lead somewhere, and sometimes you got to have long conversations. Some people you can meet for 5 minutes, they get right on your page, and then you're done. You're set. Other people, you're like, I got to be friends with you for years to turn this ship around. Man, and that's called an investment. If you really want to put your money where your mouth is on trying to save the world, you're going to have long-term investments with some countries. Wanting a country that you want to turn overnight, that will in reality be the long investment one, is selfish. It's selfish, and now you're going to cause some massive damage just to get it done quickly. I'd rather some things go slowly, as long as they're going, than to rush it and cause starvation or internal conflict, civil conflict between them because you're trying to help it along. Like we already have enough of that in history, trying to help out Korea, trying to help out Vietnam, trying to help out all these different countries. And where did it lead? It led to just pointless ugliness. And I would rather things go slow with talking. Like, what about talking with a dictator? I'd rather talk to that dictator than have to go in there, fight through all the people that he puts in the way between us and them. And then we finally get them. And then we do what we do with them. We hang them in the UN Tribunal Court for crimes against humanity. And then what happens? There's 7 people worse than the person that you got rid of. Worse, because they want it more. People say this about, I know this, you'll get my point. People say, I don't watch NBA because they're already there. I like watching college basketball because they want it. Well, getting rid of someone like Saddam Hussein and getting rid of someone like Gaddafi and getting rid of someone like Bin Laden, these public enemies, number one. What did it produce? It produced 27, 37, 50 different people worse. 50. You created a vacuum, and there's enough people that are looking at their competitors being like, I can be the next, kingpin. I can be the next peak of the pyramid, and everyone else will have to kiss my ring. Well, this is why I say talk. You rush things, you kill people, you kill innocent people. Drones aren't accurate. Read up on that. The majority of people that die from drone strikes are innocent people that have nothing to do with the target. Then you want to talk about the accuracy of confirmed identity of the people that they're bombing. Oh, for sure, 100%, that guy's in that building. No, he wasn't. High percentage of that failure. And it's lawyers that are green-lighting these launches. It's the Air Force running down the information. But it's lawyers that say, yep, sign on the line, and then the guy presses the button, and those Hellfire rockets come off the chain on that drone, and there you go. So let's not rush things when it's not going to be rushed. Let's talk to them. I'd rather constantly put myself in front of someone and talk to them day in, day out, than kick their door in and put a gun to their head and make them change. That conflict is not going to solve anything. So this is why that dystopic or apocalyptic should be listened to, because this is what we're talking about, kicking in doors and using these terrorists and these warlords of these countries as an example, because these are either one that I'm referencing here. They're either a dystopic fall apart of this country that had a dream of being a free nation, joining the first tier countries of the world, or it turned apocalyptic because someone killed someone because he wasn't doing a good enough job, or they felt disenfranchised, or pick your example. So I'd rather talk. I'd rather talk to monsters than try to kill them and find out that there's 15 more in the shadows waiting. It's whack-a-mole. Whack-a-mole. Bop, 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 bop. It won't end. I'd rather talk. It'd be far more effective. But you have to have the social maturity to understand that this is what you're doing, and have people that understand that this is a long-term investment, and not have goldfish attention spans. But there's a lot of misinformation. But this is why we should have the information out there, though, because there's a lot of misinformation. The more honest and open-minded and all that you are, it'll be recognized. Your quality will be met wherever you shall go. I'm going to mention that again because it's perfect for this conversation. So don't be afraid to show who you are. If you want to be taken seriously and you want to be known to have good credit, then why are you trying to hide it? Hide that credibility. Show that credibility. That'll inspire other people that have less on on how to be? Why are we hiding the formula to be a good person? I would rather open up the doors on all the good people of the world to show the rest by example how to be good, how to be nice, how to be kind, how to be compassionate, how to volunteer, how to budget your time, how to take care of your body, what to put into your mind with books. I want the examples. We're monkey see, monkey do kind of beings. And with that, why hide the good formula? The only people that should be afraid of open information and get rid of that fig leaf are monsters. That's the real reality of it. If everyone got shoved out of their house to be fully exposed for who they are, the only people that should be truly scared are the people that are hurting other people secretly, victimizing other people secretly. If you're a good person, you got nothing to hide. So why hide it? Why hide what could inspire others to be better? We need to show that there's a path for redemption and forgiveness for the people that deserve to be forgiven. The people that are unforgivable are going to be the people that are going to be exposed, can't hide it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's the thing that we've been wanting all along. So there's too many beneficial layers with this slow moving change in our civilization, and I'm all for it. I encourage it. But we always got to keep our eyes wide open and know that there's going to be deceptive people that always sink into everything. They sink into everything new. They're deeply seated in everything old. Because there are people still out there that just for some reason they can't have a conversation without lying. There's some other people that can't have a conversation without cutting someone down. There's types of people out there, no matter what, pick your poison. And I use that word very on purpose, very specifically, is that there's people that just have to have a type of poison that comes out of them. They can't just interact. They got to corrupt. We're never going to get rid of them. But how about live in a society where they are less comfortable, and the people that are good people, nice people, are less afraid because they got nothing to hide. And it's these predatory little scavenger people that seep into every type of social group and civilization, and they all have the harder time. Why not make a civilization that the worst people in our society have the hardest time to live? What's wrong with that? Why live in a civilization where the best people and the nicest people live in fear and ridicule and shame, and they want to hide and have no power, no relaxation? They got to escape to have it on a vacation. So why live in that society that we currently live in? Be a good person, completely exposed, and just depraved, mean people live in fear because everyone's exposed. They can't hide their secrets. They can't hide their victimizing that they do to others. I'd rather live in that world. I'd rather all those horrible people that ruin other people's lives through violent means of self gratification. I'd like them to be running around feeling that the spotlight's on them. I don't think there's a parent out there that's had a child that's been victimized by any means disagreeing with me with the sense that, yeah, I'd like to walk around and the people that do that type of horribleness to innocent little children live in fear and run around thinking they can't hide. I don't think a parent would hard disagree with me on wanting their kids' safety. Like I say, the information shall set you free. It's kind of a mental spill. Sorry that I went all over, and sorry for the the enthusiasm earlier. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, And just think on it. Don't ever like subscribe to what I'm saying. I read a lot and I get lied to with false things that I read all the time. And all I'm trying to do, even if I get information, I'm just trying to make it make sense with what I think is decent for myself and decent for others. And there's a decency that needs to come back in our society. And I use the word good, and I should have used the word decent, just. And that's all I'm getting at here. So, just a mental spill, and I hope you enjoyed. And just chew on it, because that's all I'm doing. I'm ever changing. I'm not going to marry any ideology. I'm just going to take in a new piece of information. If it tastes sour to me, I'm going to spit it out and grab a new thought and chew on that one. And that way, I'm a mental mercenary. I'll chew on whatever I want to chew on, and I'll disregard everything that isn't working for me, and I'll move on. And I'm just going to share it with you. I hope you want to hear it. I hope you're enjoying hearing it. I got more ideas. I've been taking down some notes, and I got more to come. So thank you for dropping by, and have a good day.